from the start.
Yo yo, what's going on guys? I'm here. Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, and today we are doing a brand new tier list video. The last tier list video I made was about 4 years ago, and it was actually a COD tier list, which I kind of recommend you guys to go check that out. It was a pretty good tier list I made. I think there's no other opinions that matter. No, I'm only kidding. But yeah, today we're doing a Assassin's Creed tier list. As growing up, I used to play a lot of Assassin's Creed, just like COD. Like those two franchises are like the two franchises like I kept going back to throughout the years. So I just thought, why not just make another tier list video, but with Assassin's Creed. I don't know if you guys have seen my like YouTube banner, but Ezio, my goat, is actually in my banner already. So I kind of already expressed my Assassin's Creed like kind of love. But yeah, let's get right into it. So, the first Assassin's Creed we have is AC1 with my boy Altair. Altair, Assassin's Creed 1 is obviously the game I started off, but I wouldn't say it's like peak Assassin's Creed. I know it's like the first game in the franchise, and you kind of have to give it like the respect and love it deserves. But personally, I think I'd put Assassin's Creed 1 in awesome. Altair was good and all, but he didn't really like strike me as like someone with a lot of depth. He didn't really have like a lot of like emotions and shit. Like he was pretty just blunt, and yeah, he definitely wasn't my favorite, but I like the way they concluded the story in Revelations. That was a nice touch. Kind of connected the first and like the first protagonist with the second protagonist. Kind of I like the little connection right there. But AC1 is definitely like up there as being one of the goats still. It's the first game in the series. You kind of have to give it the love it you know deserves. But yeah, the second game we have here is Assassin's Creed Bloodlines. I think it says Bloodlines. It's the text is super small, but yeah. I actually never played this. Well, I actually played a little bit of it on my PSP back in the day, but I never really like um I don't really know much of the story or like the setup. I know it's with Altair, and is it before Assassin's Creed 1? Or is it after Assassin's Creed 1? I actually can't remember. But I think we'll just put it in average because I wouldn't say it's terrible or bad. It's just like a sequel to Altair. I think it might actually be before Assassin's Creed 1, so I might be wrong about that. Not really much else to say about that one. But yeah. The next one we have Assassin's Creed 2. Now, this game is so goated. Like, I can't tell you another like protagonist in a game that I prefer over Ezio. My guy Ezio Auditore da Firenze. You know what I'm saying? You gotta respect the goat. Uh, fucking chuckling over here. Assassin's Creed 2 is actually so good. Like it has Leonardo da Vinci in it. He's like your best friend and that shit, and you get to see his like inventions and stuff. Like Ezio was like another like protagonist. Like he's like the only protagonist in Assassin's Creed where you actually get to experience his birth and his death. So, and he's the only one with a fucking trilogy, which, but deserved. He's the fucking goat. You know what I'm saying? Assassin's Creed 2, super fun with mechanics. It basically did everything that AC1 did, but improved on it. Um, I just think it's perfect in my eyes. Also, it does have its flaws as well, but in my eyes, it's fucking perfect. I think it's my favorite Assassin's Creed game. But yeah, let's do the go. Brotherhood, another one going to perfect. Now, this isn't me being biased for Ezio. I'm just saying, like, Brotherhood did everything that AC2 did, but made it 10 times better. And Brotherhood is honestly so iconic. Like, I just remember playing that on Xbox 360 back in the day, and shit was so fun. Like, oh, I'm actually so tempted to play it now. But yeah. And the next one we have Revelations. Revelations, I do feel like it was like definitely a good conclusion to Etsu's story, and obviously it concludes Altair's story in a way as well. It was definitely really like like such a nice like storyline. It kind of ties everything in it and ends pretty nicely, as I could say. However, though, like I don't think it's as good as Brotherhood or AC2, and that's in my opinion. I feel like it definitely is the one that lacks out of the three, the most lacking one. So I feel like it's still an awesome game, but because obviously you get like the hook blade and shit, and that was kind of cool. And Ed 2 is honestly such a badass for what age was they in this game? Like 50? In his 50s, I think. I could be wrong. But I think we're just going to put it in awesome because it doesn't hold a candle to these greatness games up here. But yeah, AC3. This is the one with Connor Kenway. Um, you know, whenever I was saying how Altair was like sort of blunt and like it's kind of hard to explain that. I haven't really like I can't like it's hard to go into detail of these games, and I'm not trying to make this video too long, but I feel like Altair and Connor are very similar in a way. Like both are very like blunt, I suppose, and just dicks, just straight up dicks. Yeah. Um, but yeah, AC3 though, I honestly like this game a lot. Um, the combat is probably one of the best. Like, has a lot of like good animations and like combos and like AC3 is definitely one of the best Assassin's Creeds for like looking at the combat. Like, it's pretty fucking nice. It's pretty fun. And obviously you get to fight in the American Revolution, right? I could be wrong. I'm not American, but yeah, it's definitely up there. I think I would do great. Um, if I were to do it in order, I'd probably do it like this. I do prefer AC3 over AC1 and Revelations, and that's how you know I'm not being biased with Ezio. I put credit where it's due. You know what I'm saying? AC3 is pretty good. Um, and that's obviously the next character after Ezio we get to play as, and it's pretty good. The next one we have AC Liberation. I think it's Liberation right there. AC Liberation was like a DLC for AC3. It was like a spin-off. I didn't really play this game that much. I played a little bit, but I never completed it or never really completed the story. But from what I can remember, it was basically just AC3, right? Same like mechanics, same engine. It was just a fucking DLC. I can't even remember the fucking gear's name to be honest, but it is what it is. And I'm pretty sure they brought this out as a standalone game at one point, um, which I still never didn't play. But you know, I might go back to playing it at some point. But right now, I don't really give a shit about this game. It's alright. Um, but yeah, not very much else I can say about that game. Now we have the three AC Chronicle games. These are the 2D ones, right? You know, I never really played these that much. I know I played one of them on Xbox because they used to release these games for like free Xbox Gold games back in the day. I think it might have been these two I played. I never played this one. The text is honestly so small I can't even tell you the names. Is that like China or whatever the fuck that one? That's clearly like I don't know. I wouldn't say they're terrible, but I'll put them as bad just because they're not full-fledged like AC games. They're like 2D like platformers, right? Um, don't have as much depth as these previous games, so I'll just do bad because I wouldn't say I enjoyed them or they're very memorable. Like, would you guys say these games are memorable, like compared to these ones right here? I don't think so anyway. So I should put it in bad for now because yeah, Black Flag. You know, I'm gonna have to put it up to perfect. You know, Black Flag is such a lot of people didn't like this game when it came out because you know, it went to like pirates and shit. It kind of like went a different direction than what the previous games had. But looking back at it now, it's like I would take this game any day compared to like the newer Assassin's Creed games, and that's just a fact. And going back it's honestly such a good game. It's like it kind of mixes Assassin's Creed with pirates. Like you get to follow Edward Kenway, which is the grandfather of Connor from AC3. So it's kind of like kind of ties in AC3 a little bit, and I just like that. I just like that so much. Um, and the whole like ship aspect of the game, where like you're able to like board enemy ships. Like that ship's honestly so badass. You were basically just like an assassin pirate killing machine. Like there's no one stopping you when you were playing this game. You're just badass simulator. It's such a good game. Like definitely recommend you play these three games, especially Black Flag. Such a I'd say like Black Flag is probably the last Assassin's Creed game I would say was like the best until everything went downhill. We'll get to like, why I think that once we get to them. But yeah, it's such a good game. Edward the Goat. No further, no further, information needed. Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry, just like Liberation, was a Black Flag DLC, like a spin-off. It follows one of Edward's crew called Adwale. He becomes an assassin, and that's his story right there. Freedom Cry. I think he goes around like freeing slaves and shit, right? This game actually did play incomplete, and I actually didn't mind it. It obviously wasn't as long as like Black Flag or any other full length Assassin's Creed game, but personally, I actually thought this game was pretty decent. I think I'd put it in great. I definitely prefer it over Liberation any day, and Bloodline. I didn't really play Bloodline that much, obviously, because it was a PSP. Well, I think it was on other stuff too, but I only ever played it on the PSP. But yeah, Freedom Cry is pretty good. Yeah. Next we have Assassin's Creed Rogue. That follows Patrick Cormac, right? That follows an assassin that turns Templar, basically. And it's like a Jedi turning to the dark side, basically. But this game wasn't that bad, to be honest. It kind of ties into a lot of stuff. It ties on you get to see some characters from AC3, you get to see how it ties on the Unity, and etc. etc. Um, but I wouldn't say it was as good as these. Like I don't know if I'd put it in great, but is it worse than Freedom Cry? That's a hard one. We'll put it in great for now because it's not a bad game. Is it average? We'll come back to it at the end. We'll review the shit and see if there's any like final changes. Um, but yeah, it's basically like, I mean, it's kind of a cool game because you get to play as a Templar, so yeah, you get to play as the bad guys. But yeah, I'll leave it in grade for now. Assassin's Creed Unity, this game released super weird. Like I remember when this game came out and it was so buggy. Like I think at this time, like there was no buggier game than AC Unity. Um, and this is the game they sort of dropped the number system on the games. Like this is technically Assassin's Creed 5, but they just dropped it and called it Unity. You get to play in France. You get to play as my man Arno, right? Arno Dorian, is that his name? Fuck, I'm trying to remember now. But looking back, the parkour was pretty good. I think the parkour system, I think it had the best animations out of any Assassin's Creed game to date as well. Maybe Shadows. I haven't even played Shadows yet, but we'll get to it. Unity, the combat was alright. It just didn't feel like the combat didn't feel as like good as the previous ones, but the parkour definitely surpasses every single Assassin's Creed game from past they did present. But would I say it was like a good game? Is it an average game? Is it better than Rogue and Freedom Cry? It's kind of sad putting it here because of these two, but we'll come back to it. We'll come back to it. I wouldn't say it's my favorite game. I wouldn't say like, is it a good Assassin's Creed game though? Like looking at these ones down here, we'll come back to it. We'll come back to it. Syndicate is the one that came out after Unity. This is pretty. This was like during the Victorian times, right? Was it the Victorian times? In London, right? You get to play as Evie Fry and Jacob Fry. This is the first Assassin's Creed game where you get to actually choose between two characters, kind of like GTA. Um, I never actually completed this game, which I can't. I've been meaning to actually go back and do that. But from what I did play, it was decent, but feel like it was too far into the future compared to the previous Assassin's Creed games, so it kind of made things like a lot different because you're able to get like pistols, like actual pistols, um, and like the buildings are more modern. Um, you get like a grapple hook. You were straight up Batman in that game, which is that a bad thing? I don't know. Suppose that you'll have to play it to figure that out. I wouldn't say it was as good as the previous ones. Like if I were to compare Syndicate to Unity, like which one do I prefer? I think I'd prefer Unity over Syndicate, but I don't know if I'd call it a bad game. So I think I just put it right behind Unity for now. Next, we have Assassin's Creed Origins. This is the first Assassin's Creed game with the RPG mechanics, right? I wouldn't say I'm like the biggest fan of the RPG Assassin's Creed games. This is where I kind of went downhill. I say Ace Unity onwards, it sort of went downhill. But Origins is like the first game with like the new mechanics that, that the current Assassin's Creed games have. But I will say Origins may be my favorite one out of the newer Assassin's Creed games. I kind of liked exploring Egypt. Like the graphics were actually pretty good. Um, and you kind of get to learn a little bit of how the Assassin's Creed was like formed. They were called the Hidden Ones right before the Assassin's Brotherhood, and it follows a guy called Bayek of Siwa, right? And his story is actually pretty decent. Like I'd say like Bayek is up there with like Ezio and shit in terms of like just being a good MC. But where would I put this game though? Perfect. Is it a perfect game? I don't know. Awesome. Maybe awesome. I like this game a lot. Um, but I don't know if I'd say it's perfect. Definitely has its flaws, but it's definitely my favorite out of the newer Assassin's Creeds, like RPG shit. Next we have Odyssey. Odyssey is super like controversial, right? Like a lot of people don't like this game, and am I one of them? Kind of. I mean, I do get why people are kind of angry about this game. It kind of does like it doesn't even follow like the assassins anymore. Like I understand it kind of like follows like how the Templars are sort of a thing, and you also get to learn a bit of the lore about like the OC, right? The OC, yeah. I might be wrong about that. The Odyssey is an art game I didn't even complete, so I am probably just chatting shit about this. Um, but yeah, that's how you know I don't really give a shit about this game. I think like any of these games I didn't complete, but I have played. I just didn't care enough to complete them. So that should pretty much speak for itself of what I think about them. It was basically just a reskin of Origins, but you're roaming about Greece, and it was a less of a good game. I feel like, and it was kind of weird as well because you're able to like choose your gender as well, and like, but the thing is like only one gender was like the canon like character of the story, which I think was Cassandra, right? I thought that was kind of weird. Like they should have just made one character. Like you get what I'm saying? Like I know people want to like they wanted to have people to have variety and like change their like gender and shit, but like nah, just create like the one character and make that the MC. You get what I'm saying? Like don't reinvent the wheel. um, but yeah, um, it just was an Assassin's Creed, so I'm just gonna put it terrible. Fuck it. You got a problem? You got a problem. I don't give a shit. Um, Valhalla, terrible as well. I don't like Valhalla whatsoever. Like this game is so big for no reason. Like it's a giant ass map, straight up running simulator. Every single side quest is the exact same. This game is super soulless. I don't like it at all. I'll put it here. Valhalla is probably my least favorite. Um, not a fan. It just isn't Assassin's Creed. Ivor, the exact same thing with Odyssey. Like you were able to choose your gender, and like the point of the Gerd one was like the canon one. Like I don't give a shit if it's a Gerd or a male or whatever the fuck. Just make the one person. Like don't be giving me an option, and then it turns out that the other option wasn't the correct option. You get what I'm saying? Um, it's basically just a big open wasteland. You just fucking it's just recycled content from the last two games, and nah, don't like these two whatsoever. Mirage, pretty bad. I don't like Mirage as well. Um, I wouldn't say it's terrible. You know, they tried to go back to the roots, but they just kept so much features of these two games in this game. It just wasn't good. Like Mirage was meant to be like a Valhalla DLC, but then they went and just made it its own game. Because this guy Basim, right? Um, he was in Valhalla, and this sort of explores like before Valhalla and how Basim became an assassin, etc. I didn't even complete this one either to be honest with you. I mean, it was alright. It was in, I think the place was Baghdad, right? I think I will go back to the Mirage at some point, but whenever I was playing it, it just felt so like soulless. Like all the missions are the exact same. The parkour just wasn't there. The parkour is straight up a shell of its former selves. Like looking at a game like Unity's like parkour.
Like whenever you look at a game like Unity, and then you look at games like Valhalla, Odyssey, and Mirage, like it just seems like Ubisoft just took a step back in the direction when it came to like parkour. Because like Mirage, Valhalla, and Odyssey, just like the animations are just so like bland and like terrible, and it doesn't even seem like Assassin's Creed anymore the way they're parkouring. Like, how can Unity, which is like I'd say is definitely like not the best as Assassin's Creed game, um, still have better animations than like the newer stuff? Like, how are we evolving backwards? I just doesn't make any sense. But however, though, like looking at, I have seen some clips of AC Shadows, even though I haven't played it yet. And it does seem like there's some cool animations when it comes to like uh parkouring. As the further scared right here, I have seen a few cool things. I haven't even seen any like um parkour with this guy right here. I think his name's Yasuke, right? I have seen the controversial like shit about the game, but can he even climb in that game? Because I don't even think I've seen a clip of him climbing. What the fuck? But anyways, I think I will play AC Shadows at some point in the future because I am a fan of Ghost of Tsushima, and um I know this game it doesn't hold a candle to like that game, but I do appreciate like a good like Japan or like samurai game. You know, that's just pretty sick. So I probably will play this game at some point. Not right now, probably. But definitely some point. But if I were to give a prediction of where I'd put it, so for whenever I do play it, I'll come back and see if it holds up to my tier. I think, I mean, surely it's better than these three, right? Valhalla, Odyssey, and Mirage. Surely this game's better. Do we put it up on average? Fuck it. We'll be very optimistic and put it at great. As good as Unity and Rogue. That's not right, the highest bar they set. Um, but we'll come back to it anyways. I'm sure it'll like hold up pretty decent. But yeah, I think that's it for. Is there any more changes I could make? Like I did change Unity back up to great because Unity is kind of underrated. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in Unity I don't like, but I do I don't mind putting it in great because it is a great game. It is kind of hard seeing like how like I wouldn't say I like Freedom Cry better than Unity. It's kind of wild, but Rogue I did like Rogue pretty like good, so it's a pretty good game. But yeah, I think that's it for today's tier list. If you guys want to see more, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. I'm sure I can make more tier lists. I'm just not sure what I can make a tier list on now after this because Assassin's Creed was kind of good because just like COD, it's an R franchise I would have played a lot back in the day and still sort of today. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'll come to it, I'll think about it, and yeah, I'll see you guys on the next tier list video. It's been your boy Zyme. Yeah, thanks for watching, cants, and goodbye. See you, boys on. Goodbye.